We're up to the Mishnah on Kuf Aleph Amid Aleph. Kuf Aleph Amid Aleph. New sugya. Hadelis shebe muktzah. You have a door to what's called a muktzah. Muktzah is like a back lot. It's a back lot. We have a picture. This is a muktzah over here, right? Here's your chutzah, your house, and a muktzah is your back lot. And the delis of the muktzah is not something that is really fastened to the door. It's something that either lying on the side, or looks like something like this, or just on the side. It doesn't look like part of the door. You don't have a pivot there. It's not a door like we have attached. You disattach it, and then you go ahead and shove it back into place. The chitkim shebe pirza, or you have like barbed thorns that you would go ahead and push into a hole in the fence, or some mats that you put there. Ein noilin behem, you can't go ahead and close on Shabbos elam kein gevoyim min haaretz, unless they're higher than the ground. This is an inyan of it looks like bona, guys. Let's do the first Rashi. Hadel shebe muktzah, rachba shechuri abatim. It's the back lot behind the house, as we illustrated. Umishum hachi nakat la mishum they mishtamshim b'tadir. You don't use it all the time. Ve'im balabayis choishes lalasis ladelis tuluya karoi v'kavua, and therefore, since he doesn't use it all the time, the balabas doesn't consider it necessary to make a set door on a pivot that would be kavua, that would be set in its place. Elas kufa keneged pesach. It stood up next to the opening. Ukeshu pesach, and when it's open, matil laretz, you put it on the ground. V'yeshet tluya avol negreres laaretz, and there are those who hang it. There are those who go ahead and hang it, but it's still on the ground, like this picture, right? It's still hanging on the ground, like that picture of Marcellus. So this is something that you would not be able to put it on there. Ein noilin bus is Rashi b'Shabbos mishum the Ovid binyan. This would be an act of bona. This would be considered the av of bona building. Even when it's suspended. Even in this case, it's michse kaboina. However, if it's elevated off the ground like this, then it seems to be clearly a door, and therefore you can go ahead and close it. Again, the whole shaila is michse kibinyan. It appears like you're building. So the question is, how do we develop a relationship between this board and the door? So if it's off the ground and hanging, then it's clearly a door. Lacking any one of those two things, then it's not a door. It has to be off the ground. Says the Gemara, Delis hanigreres, you have a delis that's on the ground, it's hanging on the ground. Umachzelis hanigreres, or a mat that is nigrar, meaning it's attached but on the ground. The kankan hanagrar, a kankan is the back of a plow, that is nagrar. Bisman shekeshurin v'tuluyin, in the time when they are tied and suspended, noilin ba b'Shabbos, bein tzarich lema b'yantif. So what do you see? The whole hakpada is that they be suspended and hanging, but not that they have to be off the ground. Our mission required attached and off the ground. Here, clearly, it didn't say anything about off the ground. It just said it should be hanging or suspended, but not necessarily what? Off the ground. Rabbi, I'll tell you why it doesn't have to be off the ground. B'sheyesh lehem tzir. It's speaking where this thing has a pivot on it. It's got a tzir on it, guys. It has a pivot. This is the tzir. Since it has a pivot, even though it's not off the ground, clearly you could see it's a door. Again, the whole point of the rule of thumb, once we see that it's a door, it doesn't have a din opinion. So says Abaya, it has a tzir, it has a pivot. Since it has a pivot, therefore it doesn't have to be suspended off the ground. Rava Amar, you don't even need it. You just b'shahayilem tzir. Even if you could see there was a tzir. For example, there's a hole over here. Since you could see there was a tzir, that in fact there was what? There was a pivot there. That's enough of a chacha to go ahead and avoid the problem of boner. to avoid the problem of binyan. Guys, you good? Good. Mesave delis hanegreres, a delis that is suspended. Vumetzelis hanegreres, the confident hanagrar, bisman shekeshur v'tuluyim. Vugevoyim min haaretz. We just added the other factor. You need what? You need A, it has to be suspended, and B, it has to be higher than the ground. Even if it's only a hair's breadth off the ground, noil and behen. Then you could be noil. Vim lav ein noil behen. So what do you see? You see that what? You need both. You need both. Now, Abaya said, Abaya answered up with its seer, and he said without its seer. So Abaya mitaras tamei, oy sheyesh lehem seer. Either it has a pivot, oy shegavoyim min haaretz. In other words, I need a haichacha that what the fellas that it is a door. Two possibilities. One, off the ground. Two, if not off the ground, it looks like a door because it's got a pivot. Either you could see it once upon a time had a pivot that shows it was a door, or it's higher than the ground. But not that you need both. Either or. Okay, Tan Rabbana. Soiche kreitz and branches of thorns, the chavilin and bundles, she'etkinam lepirza. You're going ahead, you're filling in a hole. So imagine taking a bunch of bramble bushes like barbed wire and sticking in a hole. Shabachatzer, bisman shekeshurin, when they are tied, utuluyin and hanging, noilim behem b'Shabbos, bein tzarich lem v'yontif. So therefore, you see that what it has to be, I guess, hanging off the ground. Tan Reb Chia, delis almona. The delis of almona hanigreres ain't noilim ba. Now, what's a delis almona? Hechidami delis almona. Ikadiyama dechad shifa. There's those who say a delis almona is what? Is one board. There are those who say it's one board right over here. Here's a delis almana, and those that say what? It's a delis that doesn't have cross beams. It doesn't have cross beams. The army delesle gishma. It doesn't have cross beams. Now this cannot a noilim boy. You can't go ahead and close. Let's see Tosfos. Delis almana negres a noilim boy. Pirish ri ari kishiyesh lem tsir. Like you drew in the picture over here, even though it has its seer. Right. The Eilem seer, my area Delis Almana, I feel Delis Akrina Nami. The Chiddush of Delis Almana is despite the fact that it has this and it looks like a door, people don't make doors this way. Despite the fact that it has a pivot, people don't make doors this way. So you can't use it. So that's the Chiddush. In other words, it's a chumrah. A normal door, if it has a pivot, or according to Rabbi, if you could see it as a pivot, you could use. The delis almana, even if it has a pivot, even if it has a seer, you cannot use it because it's not enough of a chacha that's a door because people don't normally make doors that way. Rav Yehuda. Now we're speaking about binyan. This is brought down halacha. This is the strangest thing, guys. It's yontif. You want to make a fire. Let's say you want to cook a fire, right? You want to put logs one on top of the other. You know what you have to do? You have to hold a log over here and then put the other ones underneath. You can't put 1, 2, 3. That's bona. What you have to do is hold the log in place and put the other ones underneath. It's brought down in Shulchan Aruch. Here it is. You have over here, or eggs. You put eggs on top of a tripod, or eggs on top of here, or kederis on top of here, or a bed. I just blew a bite, or a bed. You have to put this first and then put it underneath. In other words, if the bed was 3 parts, 1, 2, 3, you can't put 1, and then this on top. You'd have to have someone hold the bed and then you slip it in underneath. Let's see it inside.
It applies to charcoal also. On second day Yontif, some people make a barbecue with charcoals and they build up the charcoal. Same idea. I saw that.
Yeah, that's a problem. So you should always do it before. If you're going to barbecue, do it before. When I barbecue in Yontif, I always do it beforehand. I always set it up beforehand, and I just put the thing underneath. Do you ever barbecue on Yontif? If you do, be careful. You shouldn't use if you use a shoot, you can't be machaba. You have to set it up because you can light it, but you can't take the ash off. So therefore, if you go ahead and use, I'm just going off on a tangent because you mentioned it. I usually use a chimney to start the fire. So if you would take the chimney and throw it down, it causes it's grufa. So therefore you can't do that. So you really have to be careful when you barbecue. Basically, set it up, set it and forget it. Right? You put the fire in, that's it. Okay. We just did that. Amar Rav Yehuda, Hai Madurta, this bonfire. Mimaila lamata shari. If you start putting the wood above and below, it's permitted. Mimata lamaila asa. From the bottom to above, not. V'chein biyasa, eggs, the same thing. V'chein kidra and pots, the same thing. V'chein puria, a bed, the same thing as we illustrated. V'chein chavita, barrels. Amal Yud Tzedekah of Yeshua ben Chananya. Chitka, he called him thorny. He called him thorny, like he was like, right? It says about you, toivim kechedek. They're good like thorns. The leaders of the Klal Yisrael are good like thorns. So they called him thorny. So Amalei, so Yehuda Shua ben Chananya told him, Shatya, you fool. Shuffle the Sefer Dekra. Take a look at the end of the pasuk. The Siv, Yasha mi Mesukkah. They were Yasha then from a sukkah. They protect Klal Yisrael like a sukkah. So why you can compare them to thorns? Which is why it's brought over here. Just like these thorns protect the pirza, the opening of the fence. The best ones of Klal Yisrael, Maginam Aleinu, they go ahead and protect Klal Yisrael. The lashon of we find very often a ches and a hey interchangeable. So don't read as kechedek but hadak. Hadak means to crush. Shemahadkin es rishoyim legehenim. They crush the rishoyim to the gehenim. Shnemar humi v'doishi botz basiyon. Get up and fresh basiyon kikarnech Hashem barzel uprasoisech and Yehovah's awesome the chayshes why made his brias v'heidakois amim rabim and you'll crush many nations. Very nice Gemara. Okay, we had a previous Gemara where a person was able to sit in his house and he was just a yachid, stick his head out the window and move something as long as it's within 4 amas. That was the shita of the Chachamim. He's able to go ahead and do that and move it back and forth. That was the shita of the Chachamim. We had another shita, the shita of Rav Meir, that did not permit this, and we're going to meet that shita now. We jumped ahead the other day to illustrate this, and we'll see this now. Lo yamud adam b'shus hayachid v'yiftach b'shus harabim. A person should stand in b'shus hayachid and have what? And have his key in b'shus harabim, or b'shus harabim v'yiftach b'shus hayachid. You shouldn't go ahead and stand and open up a door. If you're in one rishus, you shouldn't go ahead and do another one. Let's see what we got. You shouldn't stand in Rishus HaYachid, Rishus HaRabim. We saw that already. And here, Rishus HaRabim, and open the door. We're scared you're going to take this, even though the lock, this is all Rishus HaYachid, guys, right? We're scared you're going to bring it into Rishus HaRabim. However, if you make a door around over here, then you just created Rishus HaYachid. It's one big Rishus HaYachid. Then you would be able to take the key and open the door. This is the shita of Reb Meir. This is the shita of Reb Meir. This is the shita of Reb Meir in this scenario. So it's going on the last case. If you're in Rishus HaRabim, you want to open the door, go ahead and make a Rishus HaYachid around, and you can take it from Rishus HaYachid into Rishus HaYachid and open the door. Amalai, they told Reb Meir, Maisa b'shuk shel p'tamim shai b'Yerushalayim. There was a shuk of the p'tamim, the people who would fatten animals in Yerushalayim. Shai Noirlin. They would close the door and leave the key in a window. So they did do it. In other words, the mice in Yerushalayim was connected to Reb Meir. It didn't happen in the shuk of P'tamim. It happened in the shuk of the wool merchants. Bottom line is they did do it. Now, we had a Gemara earlier. That discussed the status of Yerushalayim. Yerushalayim, fellas, we said is a city that they closed the doors. It's hukuf ledira. It has a Rishus HaRabim going through it. It's 600,000 people. It has what? It has a road that is 16 amas wide, and it goes from one through to the other through. So it has all the features of a Rishus HaRabim, with one exception. At night they would close the doors. So at night they would close the doors. It's a large area. We consider it, guys, a caramelist. We consider it a caramelist. It would be considered a caramelist. Good? So if the Mishnah then doesn't make any sense, Rabbi Meir was discussing Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim, and the Chacham tell him a Maisa where they went from Rishus HaYachid to a caramelist. What? You can't compare the two. Yerushalayim is a caramelist. It's not a Rishus HaYachid. It's not Rishus HaRabim. So what did exactly the Chachamim tell Reb Meir? Says the Gemara. For Rabbanon, Reb Meir, Rishus HaRabim, that you can't go ahead, take a key from Rishus HaYachid and put it in Rishus HaRabim, Umahadru inu caramelist, and then said, you know what? There's a mice in Yerushalayim, took the key from Rishus HaYachid into it. But Yerushalayim is a caramelist. It's not a Rishus HaRabim. Dama Rabba Rav Chana, Rabbi Yochanan, Yerushalayim amoli diletutoy in inalas belayla amoli dal soseha, unless the dal soseha, her doors were closed at night. Chayavla mishum Rishus HaRabim. Again, it has the features. It goes from one end to the other, 16 amas wide, 600,000 people according to Rashi. But since you closed the doors, it's not. What is it? It's a caramelist. When was it a caramelist? Before they made pierces in the walls. After they made pierces in the walls, it's a Rishus HaRabim. And therefore, what the Chachamim told Reb Meir was appropriate. They were answering oranges to oranges. They were answering some zach. Rava Amar, no. Rava says, Seifa Ason l'Sharigina. It's like Suri Mechsura missing words, guys. Reb Meir starts off by saying you can't take a key from a Rishus HaYachid to a Rishus HaRabim to open the door, because you're worried you're going to be in the Rishus HaRabim. V'chein hu adin by a gina. Stam a gina is lo hukif l'dira, and it's more than 5,000 square amis. So therefore, it has the din of a caramelist. V'chein, on that second din, Reb Meir says the same halacha would apply. If my door is in a caramelist, my key is in Rishus HaYachid, I can't take it from Rishus HaYachid for fear I'll put it in a caramelist. On that second din, the Chachamim are bringing Yerushalayim in. Not on the first din of Rishus HaRabim, on the second din of caramelist. That's where they're bringing it in. Of course, Yerushalayim is a caramelist. So you're missing a little information. Amar Rava Amar, says Rava, Seifa Ason l'Sharigina. The safe is coming on the case where what? Where it's the shar of a garden. Here you go. Here he is. He's sticking. This is a caramelist. He's taking a key and he's opening it up. So he's going from Rishus HaYachid into opening a door. Says Reb Meir, we're scared he's going to put it down here. Got it? On this case, they're answering Yerushalayim. On this case, they're answering Yerushalayim. Guys, geschmack, right? In other words, we thought there's only one case. It didn't make any sense. Because that was Rishus HaRabim. And he did in Yerushalayim. Stick it in. No, Gina. Gina is the caramelist. Now it's appropriate. Yerushalayim is addressing caramelist. It's addressing caramelist. V'achin kama. V'chein lo yamu b'Rishus HaYachid v'yiftach b'caramelist. B'caramelist v'yiftach b'Rishus HaYachid. Amid beis. Elam kain, only if Asa mechitza gevaya asar tfachim. Divrei Reb Meir. If he made a mechitza of 4 tfachim, then he created a Rishus HaYachid. So he's encompassing one Rishus HaYachid. He can take the key and open it up. Amuloi ma'aseh b'shuk shel patamim, shoyi b'Yerushalayim, shoyi noilim, u'manichim es ha'maftech b'chaloin, which had the din of Rishus HaYachid. Shal gabi ha'pesach. He doesn't argue in din. He just is arguing in Metzias. It wasn't the shuk of animal fatter uppers. It was the shuk of what? Of Tzmarim. Guys, good? So we again, that Machloikis, the Chachamim, Reb Meir says this din. Okay. The Brisa elaborates upon it. And we're going to see in the Brisa, Reb Meir has charata regarding Carmelists. Reb Meir has charata regarding Carmelists. Regarding Carmelists, he will agree. Regarding Carmelists, he will agree that what? That you could go ahead and open this. We'll see. Okay, Tan Rabbana. Pischei Sharigina, again, same halacha, guys. The opening of a Sharigina, which is a Carmelist, Bisman sheyesh lehem beis shar mibifnim. When you have a beis shar that's inside, then it's not a problem. Reb Meir will be moida, guys. In this case, Reb Meir will be moida, right? Here, beis shar is inside. Then you can go ahead and open it. Beis shar is now reverse it over here, right? This is reverse. The beis shar is outside. It's a Rishus Harabim. He's moida. In this case, you can go ahead and open it up. That's what made Mishita, because again, you have a beis shar, you could go ahead and open it up. So Tan Rabbanan, Piskei Sharigina, Bisman Sheyesh beis shar mebifnim Paisech, V'noyel mebifnim mebechutz Paisech V'noyel mebechutz. Mikan v'kan, if you have on both sides Paisech V'noyel, kan v'kan. Ein lahem loy lekan v'loy lekan. If you don't have a beis shar, guys, asurim kan v'kan. It would be usur. Let's see Rashi, guys. Very important. Loy lekan v'loy lekan, asurim mikan v'kan. On both. The haminel rishus hayachid hu. The lock is considered rishus hayachid. V'afa pishem avteach munuch alav. Even though the key is on top of it. Because Reb Meir shlo yamba b'rishus harabim v'loy begina v'yitl mavteach shel rishus hayachid shem yaviu etzlei l'rishus harabim. So this is an extension of that thing. So let's say you have, guys, this case. The lock is Rishus HaYachid. You're standing in Rishus HaRabim. We're scared you're going to take this. This is Rishus HaYachid. This is Rishus HaYachid, right? We're scared you're going to take this or this from the Chaloin, and you may bring it into Rishus HaRabim. That's the Gezerah of. And even if you're going to be standing on an askupa, guys, and this is a Carmelist, of course it's less than 10. Good. So then you'd be going from Rishus HaYachid to a Carmelist. Guys, you got it? Very important. Two possibilities. Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaYachid, we're scared you go to Rishus HaRabim. Standing on here, from Rishus HaYachid to a Carmelist, that's where Meir's concern. That's where Meir's concern. You can't do that. You can't do that. Okay? So too, storefronts that are open to Rishus HaRabim. Bisman she'amano lemata me'asara. If the mano is below 10. Let's say the mano, the lock is below 10. Here, this is, let's say this mano, this lock is below 10. Maybe mafteach me'erev Shabbos. You can bring a key erev Shabbos. Umanichoy be'eskupa. Guys, take a look at picture 70. Bring a key, leave it over here. If this is below 10, it's all in the Rishus HaRabim. So bring it, leave it on the skupa, and l'macha the next day, poichis, poiseach, you can open it up, v'noyel, and right, open the lock, close it, umachzir the skupa, and you can bring it back and put it down over here.
Did we say that skupa is a Carmelist?
A skuma is a Carmelist. Ubizmat, now so this is all, if it's below 10, so it's all in a Carmelist, right? Bizman she'amano l'mayla me'asara. If it's above 10, the lock, so it's in Rishus HaYachid, maybe mafteach me'erev Shabbos umanichoy b'minol, leave it on top of the lock. L'machar poiseach b'noyel, open it up, close. Umachzir l'mkomo, and you can put it back on top. You can put it back to its place. Okay, this is going to be a raya. This is going to be a raya that Reb Meir had charata from Carmelis, guys. Guys, look down. Go down now to the Rashi that starts Hodabei Reb Meir Mishari Gina. Okay, 2 lines where it gets wide. Hodabei Reb Meir Mishari Gina. Midikoshari Lamoid, skip the parentheses. Midikoshari Lamoid ala Askupa. When he permitted you to stand on the Askupa, Carmelis, Vilito Mafteach B'Mino, and take a key from the lock. L'mayla me'asara above 10, be'askupas Carmelis, ulolichai derech aviroi, and you're bringing it through the avir, l'mino to the lock, v'legaza shem yavienu etzle l'eskupa shi Carmelis, and we're not worried that he's going to bring it to the Carmelis. So you see that he's not worried. He's letting you go. You're letting you go ahead, open it up, right? You're letting guys look. we're not scared. You're going to bring it from here to here. We let you open it up. So you see, he had charata from Carmelis. That's the whole raya. That he had charata from Carmelis. Tell you, the pictures are great. They make such a difference. You hear it, but when you see it, it's geschmack. Okay, these are the words of Reb Meir. The Chacham Moimrim, Af Bizman Shehamano L'mayla Me'asum Tvachim, even if it's above 10, maybe Mafteach Me'erev Shabbos, you can bring a Mafteach Erev Shabbos. You can bring a Mafteach Erev Shabbos. Umenichu Beskupa, you can leave it on the skupa, on the stoop in the bottom. L'mocha Poiches Peseach V'noyel, Umachzir L'mkomo, you could put it back. Oy B'chaloin, or if it's in the window, so you can either put it back over. You can put it back. You could put it back over here. You could put it back over here, or you could put it back over here. It's the Chacham Meshita. You're not geyser. You're not geyser. Now, im yesh b'chaloin arba al arba. However, if the chaloin is 4x4, then asa. If neshu kemoitzi merishus to rishus, because you're going from a Carmelis to a rishus hayachid. There's a interesting thing. You start over here, you're in a Carmelis. You go up to here, you're in a Makam Patur. You go over here, you're in a rishus hayachid. If this is 4x4, you're in rishus hayachid. So you're going from a Carmelis to a Makam Patur to what? To a rishus hayachid. Now that's the case of the hobo, right, guys? The case of the hobo that we're all familiar with. If you remember the case of the hobo, there was one addendum. You can go ahead from rishus harabim and rest there. You can go from rishus hayachid and rest there, provided you don't go from rishus harabim to Makam Patur to rishus hayachid and vice versa. So you see the Chachamim, right? They didn't allow this. They didn't allow it because of Rav Dimi's din. Because you'd be going from a Carmelis to a Makam Patur at the top of the lock, and now you're switching Rishuyos, because now you're going to the Chaloin, which is 4, which is Rishus hayachid. So in other words, that picture 57 that we're all so familiar with, picture 99. Our favorite guy, right? We see him? No, we don't see him. Now we see him, right? And it's so hard to do this. It's crazy. How can I do this?
It's fine. We got it.
Now he can't go from one to the other, right? He has to stay. He has to go back to where he came from. Over here, he's not going back where he came from. He's putting it from the Carmelis to the Makam Patur to the other Rishus, to the top of the window. Okay, let's see it inside. In Yesh B'chalein Arba Al Arba Asam if they shoot Kimoitzim Rishus to Rishus. Now, when it says so too by a storefront, Mechlal B'div Askufa Carmelis Askin, we must be speaking about a Carmelis. Hai Minol Hechidami. What's the story of this lock? Idel Espe Arba. If there's no lock, Makam Paturhu. So why can't you go from the skupa to the lock? E Espe Arba. If the lock has 4 and it's Rishus hayachid. B'hol Leim Rabban and Af Bizman Shemanol L'mayla Miyud. Maybe Maftech Me'erev Shabbos Amanichu Beskufa L'macha Poiches V'noyel Boy U'Machzir L'Skupa Oil Chaloin Shal Gabi HaPesach U'Mekaltam Mikamas Rishus hayachid. Guys, in this case, how could the Chachamim possibly say, if this has 4, how could you go from here to here? You're going from an Askupa to a Carmelis to a Rishus hayachid and back and forth. How can you do that? How can you do that if this has 4, right? So what's it speaking about? Exactly, what exactly is the case? The Chachamim wouldn't agree with that case, right? The Chachamim wouldn't agree with that case. So what's exactly speaking about? Okay. So Rabbi Eloilam de'ein by Arba. It's not Arba, so it's a Makam Patur. However, v'yesh ba lachok. you have an area that you can engrave and hollow out. Take a look at picture 71. You have the lock is not 4x4, but right above the lock, there's an area which you could go ahead and hollow out to make it 4. Remember Hasugya Chaykin Lahashlim by Mezuzah? Rabbi famous Machlekes in Rameya and the Chachamim. So this is a case of Chaykikim, guys. The Rameya Savar Chaykim Lahashlim. Rameya says Chaykim Lahashlim, and therefore you won't be able to take from here to there, or from here to there, because you're going from a Shusayachid to a Carmelis. Rabban Savri ain't Chaykim Lahashlim. So it blives a Makam Patur. If it's a Makam Patur, I can go from the Skufa. So this block over here, guys, is really not 4. Reb Meir views it as 4. Since Reb Meir views it as 4, I can't go from here to here. The Chacham say, no, you don't view it as 4. It's a Makam Patur. Since it's a Makam Patur, I can go from here to here. However, if this is 4, guys, Geshmak, if this is 4, even though this is a Makam Patur, I can't go from here to here to here. Right? This is all the things we learned throughout the Masechta, guys. They're all it's just viewing a little, it's Geshmak. It's all there in front of us. Right? So let's go over it. Loi Reb Meir, everyone holds you can't go from a Karmas to a Shusayachid. That's the Gzeira. And the Chiddush is, do we view this Makim Patur as a Rosh Hashanah or not? If we don't, you could go there. Says the Chachamim, I don't view it as a Rosh Hashanah. Why? Because since it can be filled in, I don't say Choykin Lahashlim. I engrave to go ahead and hollow out an area. Therefore, it remains a Makim Patur. Take that key from the Skupa, the Carmelis, put it on there, open up, give it there. Says Meir, no. I say Choykin Lahashlim. I will view that lock as if it's Muslim to 4. I will view it as a Rosh Hashanah. Memela, I can't go from a Carmelis to Rosh Hashanah. Says the Chachamim Amoida, however, you can't go from the bottom, the Skupa, to the lock, and then to the Chaloin, if the Chaloin is 4x4. Because then I'm going from a Carmelis to a Makim Patur, and I'm being Machlet to another Rishus, to Rosh Hashanah. Yes, no, maybe?
So
Yes.
just not to cover halacha here, but people in an apartment building, they keep it in the mat, a key, and then they pick it up. They're in a makam. Where's the makam they're in? They're in a makam. They're in a Carmelis, and they're picking it up.
Again, the apartment buildings. It could be the yad of the balabais is be'emsa. It could be all you have to do is make an erichet seris with the owner or ask him rishus, and you should be okay. If he's Michael on the rishus, it could be you're okay. That's the din of erichet seris. That's the din of erichet. That's an erichet seris din, I think.
If they made an erichet seris,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Amar Rabbi Barabaya, Shmamina mehameslisat plus. We have from this Baisa 3 dinim, guys. Shmamina choykin lahashlim. First of all, we hear choykin lahashlim according to Reb Meir. Ushmamina hadaba Reb Meir. We see Reb Meir had charata because he let you go from that skupa to take it and go to the lock, right? He let you do that. Rashi one more time. 4 lines down where it gets wide. Ala skupa Carmelis, velito mafteach b'minal l'mayla me'asara. You could take it above 10. Be'askufas Carmelis, l'lichu derech aviroi l'minal. V'legoz Hashem yaviu etzlei the skufa she Carmelis. You could take the mafteach from the lock above 10 and bring it down to the lock which is below 10. And you see that you're not worried about the avra of a Carmelis. And we're not scared, you're going to put it down. Ushmamina from the Rabbanon, we hear Reb Dimi's din. What's Reb Dimi's din? The Chiyas Reb Dimi, Reb Yochanan, Macham Shein by Arba al Arba, Mutal b'nei b'shus harabim, b'nei b'shus hayachil l'katef alav. They have permission, the hobo, to take a rest there. U'b'vat shle'yach lifu, provided you don't go out from one rishus to the other. Next Mishnah. Nagar sheyesh b'roishay glustara. Let's see a picture of what we're talking about. And again, this is a shaila of bona, guys. It's a shaila of binyan. This is really a Shabbos tikkusugya. Here, a bolt on the door. You're putting it over here. It has on the top. It has a glustara, meaning it can be used as a pestle. It can be used to crush drugs or other things like this. right? There's a mortar and a pestle. I think that's called a mortar or the pestle. I don't know. Pestle, what's it called?
Yehuda, where's Yehuda? Yehuda knows these things.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so therefore, that's a shame kli. So Rabbi Eliezer says, despite the fact it looks like a kli, it's like you're being boiner, like you're building. Rabbi Yossi mater. Rabbi Yossi says no, it's muta. Rabbi Yossi says it's muta because there's a shame kli. Ma'aser b'knesset shebetferia shahayu noigim by heter ad sheba Rabbi Gamliel v'asakanim. So Rabbi Gamliel v'asakanim came along v'yasalahem. Rabbi Yossi Yomer Isa noigu ba. They asked it ubar Rabbi Gamliel v'asakanim v'tiru lehem. The Ma'aser is not to prove Rabbi Eliezer. The Ma'aser is to prove the Chachamim, Rabbi Yossi. The Ma'aser is to prove Rabbi Yossi. Now, benithil ba'agdoi, if you can pick it up with the string attached to the door, kuliam le pligi, that it's seen as part of the door and it's not boner. Ki pligi v'she'ena nitel be'egidoi, meaning it is all good, but it's if you would pick it up, it would break. You pick it up, it would break. That's not the picture. This is the picture. You pick it up, it would break. The Mas Savar says the Chachamim, says Rabbi Yossi, keeping the Yesh Baroisha Glustara, since it has a Glustara on top and it's all good, Charis Kliyalov, and therefore it's not Michsi Keboina. Mas Savar, Rabbi Eliezer holds keeping the Eina Nitel Begidoi, since it's attached to the door, but if you pick it up, it would break. It's considered disattached, and therefore, even despite the fact that it has a Shem Kli on it, it would be Michsi Keboina, and therefore you could use it. I wish you all a very good evening.